Cardano versus XRP. Also, ETH hit 3K today, and we have breaking photos from Sam Bankman-Fried in jail, as well as quotes from his fellow inmates. Time to go around the blockchain. Thank you for joining, everybody. Make sure you go ahead, hit that like button. Yes, DZ did a wardrobe change today. I was getting chafed in the neck. But folks, go ahead and hit that like button. We got two phenomenal guests. Drew Wolfer in the green square. Drew, how are you doing today? Oh, can't hear. Here?
I do it every time.
There you go.
I'm on mute, and then I always do it. It's like the Drew special. I'm doing good, man. I'll keep it short because I already wasted 30 seconds of your time being on mute. Florida's great. Hopefully you guys are great.
It's always a good time with Drew, mute or unmute, but of course we prefer him unmuted. But I'll tell you who'll never be muted is the piano player himself, Matty B. Can't mute those chords. Piano, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. And as a Canadian, I just like to say, I'm sorry about your neck being chafed. That sounds just horrible. I'm sorry.
Sorry. You know what, though? Hey, we have wardrobe changes. I was going to put on the Gucci tracksuit, but then I realized, I never bought something like that. All right, well, folks, let's talk about Cardano versus XRP. If I could share the screen here, Cardano founder accuses the XRP community, I'm talking about you, viewer at home, of relentlessly attacking him. I want to read these points real quick. The founder criticized the community over a relentless, overwhelming campaign against him. He called on the principal figures of the XRP project, including Brad Garlinghouse, to come out and denounce the attacks on him. As per Hoskinson, the attack was a campaign based on a lie that even the XRP founders refused to acknowledge. Well, the lie, if you do a little bit of digging into the article, you'll see the lie is involving ETHgate. To quote Hoskinson, he repeatedly clarified he never said ETHgate didn't happen, but he believes that it doesn't matter and has nothing to do with the litigation between XRP and the SEC. And of course, ETHgate is the Hinman emails. SEC commissioners had emails where they talk about Ethereum. Looks like Ethereum might have got a little bit of better treatment compared to other crypto coins. It's a little bit of a scandal. We don't want to get into the weeds there, but definitely highlighting a little bit of tribalism within the crypto industry, especially XRP community and the Cardano community. Truck Dano, he says he's in the ADA community. But Drew, I want to ask you, there seems to be strong tribalism in crypto. Some would say it's up there with sports. And now I haven't seen an XRP holder and a Solana holder fight in, like Bitcoin Miami, maybe at the after party, but at least not at the conference. Why is there so much tribalism in crypto?
Dude, I mean, let's just be real. When money gets involved, things get ugly. That's really what it comes down to. People get into things, let's say XRP, right? A lot of people have been in it for a very long time. They're trying to ride it. They're trying to ride the wave up. A lot of people will say, oh, I believe in the tech. I believe in the tech. Well, at the end of the day, if you believe in the tech and you're trying off of it, you don't actually believe in the tech. You're just trying to make money off of it, right? So I think that this whole thing kind of transpired from there was like a conspiracy theory that essentially the XRP litigation was like this conspiracy on how XRP was trying to basically Ethereum was trying to eliminate XRP so that they weren't going to be a competitor to them. But now that Cardano and XRP communities are basically at odds, I mean, they're both giants in the game in their own right. Let's be real. They're both, they both have great communities. Their coins, sometimes others do well than others. We'll just say that. Yeah, I think it really just comes down to whenever money's involved, man, people get a little wild.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you brought up, a lot of these people have been holding on to it for a long time. Then you also bring up the money aspect. Now, Piano Matty B, is it fair to say XRP holders are married to their bags more than other ecosystems? What are your thoughts on that, and why do you think that is?
Well, I think with tribes comes noobs, so to speak. And if you've ever been learning something, reading a book, a conspiracy, et cetera, when you're learning it, you talk about it and you are just trying to decipher it through your own mind through repetition. But once you understand it, you stop talking, you know. And so like these narratives can only change by winning, right? So this is why I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a human minimalist. Like you have these things that are controlled by huge nerds, like Chucky Ho-Ho. You know, he's a huge nerd, always has been. So I don't know why he gets so offended by getting picked on, because he's been picked on his whole life, and that's okay. That's what happens to nerds. And now he's a successful big nerd, right? But he's still getting picked on. So if he wants to win, you just change the narrative and be the better protocol, and that will just, you know, it'll stop all the heckling, I think.
Piano Matty B follow-up: is Charles Hoskinson himself a polarizing figure?
Chucky Ho-Ho?
Mm-hmm.
Only because he's such a big nerd, right? And so he has this platform and an army of nerds. I'm not saying everyone in the Ada gang is a big nerd, right? But, you know, he's a big nerd. And I fear, this is what I fear for Ada. Same thing with ETH, is that he doesn't know how to manage women. And so someone's going to break his heart and he's going to collapse and the project's going to be over because he'll be chasing this broken heart because he probably hasn't really had one. He's yearned for women probably, but he's never had his heart smashed. And now that he's a millionaire, he'll probably have, or a billionaire, he'll have all these women wanting something from him. He'll fall in love. They'll cut the knees out and the whole go to shit. You know, that's what happens.
Cold, but that's a bold and cold take right there. I will say, you know, there's a couple photos of Ho-Ho floating around where, yeah, you know, he has a couple ladies, but, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to just assume that assessment fits all crypto founders and the majority of crypto holders as well.
Name me one that's super cool.
As far as founder, I mean, Coin, honestly, oh my God. You know what? Wow. I could actually name some that I've hung out with, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, especially like very, very large protocols, very polarizing communities. Mm-hmm. I'm grasping at straws, and I honestly can't think of one. You?
Well, I'm not a founder of a protocol.
Who is it, Matty B?
There are none. That's what I'm saying. And that's okay because we need them to develop this tech, right? They're essential in the ecosystem. This whole thing.
Arthur Hayes,
maybe Drew knows a cool
founder. You know, maybe Arthur Hayes. I don't know. That's a very, very tough one. All right, Drew.
Artie Hayes. That's a good one. That's close. Artie Hayes, yeah.
And it could be one of those like late bloomers, you know. All right. Well, I asked Matty if Charles is polarizing. I want to ask you the other end of the coin here. Careful, because the community is watching. Is XRP polarizing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Charles is polarizing in his own right because, like Matty said, he's a very intelligent individual. And whenever people are intelligent like that, I think they have the ability to be polarizing just from their knowledge and the way that they utilize it. They might not be polarizing in a personality or a just being, you know, really, we'll just say personality. I won't go any further than that. I think XRP is polarizing because it is in the top cryptos. So I believe it's still in the top 5. So I do believe it's going to be polarizing, and the use cases make it more polarizing, at least in my opinion. I'm not saying I think it's polarizing. I'm saying I think that it could be polarizing to people that are involved in it. I personally don't own any XRP, but I will be having it, you know, in my moon bag for whenever the bull run comes. And, you know, everybody can have their opinions on when that's going to start, but, you know, averaging in is probably the best thing to do, at least in my opinion. So I would say, yes, XRP is polarizing just for the simple fact that it has this massive community behind it. It does have the tech, and it does have the ability to, I think, potentially be involved in cross-border payments like in Europe, in Eastern Europe, Western Europe, also in our SWIFT system and things of that sort with CBDCs and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's pretty polarizing. I think you could make that argument.
You know what? I'll double down on the Charles thing there. He also expresses political opinions, and just by nature, that's going to, you know, polarize a lot of people there. XRP, it's you know, it's a coin a lot of people have been holding for a long time. And I'll just say this, you know, I mentioned married to the bags. I have a small bag of XRP. You know, I tried to spec trade it in 21. I ended up just holding on to it forever. Like most people, when it doubled in 48 hours, I took 0 profits. Almost everyone I work with also holds XRP. Not a single person took profits. We were like, yeah, 2x in 2 days. not bullish enough. I need more.
Not enough.
So
Yeah,
know
you
what?
want more than that.
I feel like that's probably hit that like button if you did not sell when it spiked after the SEC announcement. But all right, let's
One
talk.
thing I always say,
go
man, is
ahead.
no one will ever call you stupid for taking profits, man. So like profits are profits, man. So take some. That's all I can.
Except for the guy who got the 10,000 Bitcoin for pizza and sold it for like $60 or whatever that was. I don't know how true that is. All right, well, let's talk about 3K ETH, everybody. Before we pull up my chart here, ETH hit 3K today. And folks, it has been a very, very long time. But you go down to the bottom here, April, 22 months, I believe. It's 23 months ago. It was April 22nd, 2002. Last time it was trading around $3,000 range. Since we have Piano Matty B on, I just want to do a little quick TA. How far was that drop here? You know what? Let me just get the exact amount of days here. I want to make sure we get this good. Won't even go from the wick and wow. Okay, 78 days. We fell about 78%. So it took about 75 days. We fell 75% there. Now we are hitting these levels. It's been 23 months. A lot of people are saying 3,300 next resistant level, 3,500 next resistance level. Berenstein, Swiss One Capital chief investor, they're saying 3,600 is easily attainable. So it didn't take long for us to hit a candle wick to 3K before everyone's like, 3,600 is it's right around the corner. Well, Matty B, you do a little TA. I'm sure you got a little excited. I know it's US dollars. I don't know what it is in Maple Bucks. But we're hitting 23-month high, given most currencies here. What are some of the levels you're looking at? Is there, a danger zone we're approaching soon? Where's that strong resistance at?
This is a hard thing because we're at the beginning of the bull run. So it doesn't feel like things are going crazy, although they are going crazy, but they're not going crazy like they were going crazy in 2020, 2021 when ETH was like just shooting to the moon. We haven't, maybe we won't see that because it's just got a higher market cap now. We're not going to see it explode. But this is what we say now. Come back in 9 months. Who knows? Maybe ETH's at 10K. That, like, if it follows Bitcoin, and basically it does. These are all functions of Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, ETH goes up, and very rarely do they basically get divorced and go their separate ways. So as long as Bitcoin is going up, we're going to see ETH go up. How far will it go up? Well, how far will Bitcoin go up?
Ooh, we follow up, Matty B. Do we hit 100K? Do we hit new all-time high in 2024? Do we hit 100K in 2024?
Definitely 2024, we do hit 100K, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say we hit all-time highs before the halving too.
That is a bold statement, and I love it. Hit that like button if it just made you a little bit more bullish, everybody. Well, a lot of people are getting bullish on the ETH ETF, Drew Wolfer. Berenstein, I mentioned them earlier. Those analysts, we have a deadline May 31st. Berenstein's given it 50-50 shot. We're going to get the approval. Eric Balchunas, Bloomberg ETF analyst, he was very early and very correct on the Bitcoin ETF. He's given it 70% odds we get approved May 31st. What are your thoughts on the ETH ETF? Is that going to pump the price? Is this going to mimic Bitcoin, or is it buy the rumor, sell the news?
Dude, first off, I got to give my disclaimer. I'm bullish on ETH, baby. So is Wolfer Finance. It's one of our largest holdings. So I always am going to stand behind ETH. I do think that the ETH ETF does pump ETH. And the reason isn't because the ETF, right? If it was just the ETF, I would be more along the lines of what I was saying about the Bitcoin ETFs, where it's a buy the rumor, sell the news type deal. We've already been through the Bitcoin ETF, so I think people are seeing the buy the rumor, sell the news, and they're going to try to predict that, right? But secondarily, I think we're on the cusp of that bull run, and especially when you got Matty B out here telling everybody Bitcoin's going to 100K, he's almost willing it into existence, right? So when we're doing that, exactly. So when we're doing that, I think we do continue up, and I think the ETH ETF being approved is going to be one of those catalysts. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm more on the 9 out of 10 chance, like 90% that it gets approved on this next round, kind of similar to how the Bitcoin ones did, because even though Gensler has come out and said, like, I'm not cool with the ETH ETFs, well, you weren't really that cool with the Bitcoin ETFs either, bud, but that went through, seemed pretty swimmingly for about 14 different companies. So My bias is that it does get approved on this next round, and it does pump ETH, not necessarily just because of the ETF news, but because of the overarching kind of like market dynamics that we're in right now. So yeah, I believe that for sure.
Good callback on the Gensler ETF. I kind of already forgot, so much has happened with Bitcoin. Yeah, within a 24-hour window, I believe, maybe 48, he had released a video on X essentially saying crypto's risky, stay away from these Bitcoin ETFs. And then, Bitcoin's just been, hitting multi-month highs ever since. Don't forget, it'll be a sharp correction for all of about 36 hours. And then, just largely nothing but green candles. Now, Matty B, you are very bullish on Bitcoin for 2024. Well, ETH has an ETH ETF. We have the Denkun upgrade. Last time there was a major upgrade, 2021, record number of green daily candles. A lot of bullish momentum on ETH side. Are you as bullish on Ethereum? Could we see a new all-time high before the halving? Will we see a new all-time high this year? What's your targets for 2024 in Ethereum?
That's a tough one because I have a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario. Now, my bearish scenario is basically going to go against what Drew said about the ETF. My prediction is that this bull run ball game, Bitcoin is batter up, and I think on deck is swinging, practicing his swings is the ETF. Is an ETH ETF, but I don't think it's going to make it into this bull run. I think what we're going to need to see is a regime change. AKA Gary Gensler, and a bunch of things have to change before before ETH is batter up. And I think batter up is 2027, 2028. Now, the reason why I am, bullish that it's going to go up, besides the fact that it's going to go up anyway, it's a bull run, is that it's been such a redheaded stepchild for so long. Like the hate on it has been immense. So I'm always bullish when people start really hating on a decent project, for sure.
Yeah, no, I honestly thought Bitcoin would stop pumping sooner and ETH would start pumping sooner. And I honestly didn't think they would both be pumping in tandem or so close together. Big shout out to BitLab Academy. We got Kelly in the chat. Green Day, good statement here. BlackRock gets whatever they want. ETH ETF is imminent. All right. And looks like Chris pointed out ADA ETFs in Switzerland as well. All right. Well, let's one quick shout out. I want to give a shout out to Tony from Frankie Candles fame. Today's episode brought to you by his homemade pesto recipe. Good stuff there. All right, I'm just not gonna chew. There's not a mukbang video here, folks. All right, let's talk about. Well, speaking of eating, doesn't look like SPF is eating too good. I just almost want to read this whole article, or at least the highlights here. This is from the Daily Mail, and it looks like they talked to Tiffany Fong's got some insight. The first photos of Sam Bankman-Fried in jail posing with gangsters. Fellow inmates say he's strange as S, but he is a good guy. And folks, if you want to give your SBF prison names in the chat, maybe what does SBF stand for? What does he do with that, thing on a rope? Whatever you might want to say here. But he was convicted last year of stealing from his customers of FTX. He was a former billionaire, at one point the youngest billionaire in the world there. And then the photo thought to be a couple months old, everybody. So this isn't this is from December. So, 2 months and 3 days. Tiffany Fong originally obtained the image, and the inmate she spoke to, known as G-Lock, described Bankman-Fried as strange as but did consider him to be a good guy right here. This is Sam Bankman-Fried. You can see him right there. Folks, it's going to get better. We have some quotes from G-Lock, the former Blood Gang member here. Sam had a belly. He was eating good. Now he's skinny like a toothpick. Also, he's not getting a shower. He's not doing anything. He didn't snitch on nobody. Sam is a gangster. Also, adulation here. Sam is more gangster than Tekashi 6ix9ine. Sam stood on all 10 toes. Tekashi ratted. Standing on all 10 toes meaning you standing your ground. He's a weird guy, but he is a good guy. It's not clear what G-Lock was in prison for. Fong, added to it as well. He obviously lost some weight, but I've heard he's not showering very much. He's not as clean shaven as he used to, but obviously he's going through a lot right now. And the sentencing is going to be happening. I do want to highlight the second phase of that trial where they're going to expose the politicians and potentially even claw back some of the dirty political campaign funds that he donated to politicians, primarily on one side, but both sides. Well, they dropped those charges, will not pursue those charges, and we won't ever claw back the money. So The customers, they lost a lot of money. The money that they gave to the politicians, they get to keep it, folks. That's just America for you right there. So a lot to take in. Drew, let's just share the photo one more time here. What are your thoughts on the photo?
Yeah, man. I'm just I feel like I'm really look like him right now. I will never miss an opportunity to look like Sam Bankman-Fried when we're talking about him. So I appreciate you guys showing the comparison. It's uncanny. He doesn't have his tie, unfortunately for him. But you know, it is what it is. So here's the thing, man. I get what G Shock Buddy, whatever Woo-Op is saying, but my point is that he didn't really have anybody to snitch on, man. Like, yeah, he stood 10 toes because everybody snitched on him first. So it's kind of hard to snitch on people that got you first.
Well, Drew, real quick follow up. Share this photo. Don't you think there's a different class of people he would be able to snitch on? What are your thoughts on
100%,
that?
But that's 100%. Yeah. So that was going to be my next point. Yeah. He did have people that he could snitch on. He couldn't snitch on like the people under him. It's whenever you're the top dog, right, in the organization, it's really like if you're Griselda Blanco, who are you going to snitch on, right? Like the people that are like whipping up your stuff that you're selling to people. No, you can't really snitch on anybody. So who he could have snitched on were people that were going to essentially Epstein him if he ever got locked up. So in the interest of him staying alive, I'm sure that he decided, you know what, it's probably better for me to just go to, you know, prison for, you know, however many years. My parents are rich. I'm going to live an extremely decent life. I'm going to pay G-Shock and his buddies to protect me and then, you know, talk about me in the news.
Drew,
great guy.
Fun fact follow-up. Did you know the MDC Brooklyn Detention Center, the same detention center Epstein was no longer found responsive with
unalived,
people falling asleep, cameras shut off, crazy jacked cop in his, you know, whatever, you know, there's all types of a lot of similarities there. So I would agree, you know, maybe not the wisest move.
Not if you want to stay alive. So, you know, be that as it is, I'm sure, you know, SBF, he's like, you know, everybody's self-interest. It's human nature to always want to be alive. That's why people, you know, they always hesitate to do things that they know is going to put their life in danger. Even if they do end up doing it, they're still going to hesitate at first. I think SBF is not going to snitch on people that could basically like the Clintons and stuff like that have, you know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there about all that stuff that, you know, people can go down
you know,
of
holes. Course, everything is allegations. I have zero proof of anything definitive. I'm sure Drew has zero proof. You know, just a lot
100%.
A lot of coincidences out there, folks. I think that's all we're saying here.
Yeah, go do your own rabbit hole due diligence if you want to. There's plenty of stuff to find.
I actually remember 2015, a friend looked at me and said, do you think the blanks have killed anybody? And I thought it was the most ridiculous question I've ever heard in my entire life. So, you know, I had my own evolution with that. Now, Piano Matty B, I mean, are we looking too much? Are we looking and begging for a conspiracy when there probably isn't one? Or is this exactly what many people say it looks like?
What is the conspiracy we're not talking about?
Well, you know, basically he can't snitch on people below him, so he could snitch on the people above him, and that would be the politicians that he gave money to. And then if he were to do that, you know, would he have a similar fate that other people in the MDC Brooklyn Detention Center had?
Well, this is, in the humble opinion of this piano, this is what's going on now. He's been fed a script from his handlers, those political handlers. And if you just read this script and you keep your mouth shut, everything will be fine. Your mom and dad will be fine. We will make sure that G-Dog or whatever their name is gets their canteen money and their sardines or whatever they use as currency. And when the time comes, all this will go away. Don't you worry about it. However, that's not how it plays out for poor Sam Bankman-Fried. When his character in the movie is done, well, he's going to find the same fate as Epstein or any Clinton associate. Oh, darn it.
Allegedly.
Dude, I love that follow-up. I love that follow-up with the
Drew, you know, I do have, you know, well, you brought up a good point. You read the script, you know, you brought up a good point. You read the script, you know, maybe you're going to have somewhat of an exit strategy. You're going to have to get your little slap on the wrist, you know. But let's just say he does have that exit strategy. What is the SBF reception when he's eventually released?
Oh, dude, he's popping bottles, bro. He's popping bottles because at the end of the day,
the public's reception?
Oh, dude, I'm still going to be wearing my clown afro, dude. Like, he's still a clown at the end of the day. Now, it's really hard. Like this is a tough, it's a tough, I guess, river to tread, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to say like, okay, there's the American justice system. It's here for a reason. The guy paid his, debt with his time and all that stuff. But does that really stop everybody, or does that really help everybody get their billions of dollars back? So I think if, the majority of the money is recovered and people are made, somewhat or even remotely close to whole, and this dude goes to prison for, couple decades, however long he goes, he's probably only going to be in there for a few years. So I think we all know that with the way that they treat white collar. But I think that the reception for him will be, okay, dude, you did your time. That's fine. We still don't like you, but we're not going to make a big deal out of you. And I think most people probably, they're going to try to clout chase and platform him as soon as he gets out, because it's going to be a huge story, and then it'll die off pretty much as quickly as it started, because they're going to realize like, wait a second, everybody hated this guy. Why are we talking to him? Right. So that's probably what's going to happen.
Mike Bennett bringing up a good point. A lot of money was, potentially allegedly laundered by FTX as well. Use your imagination. G-Lock or Glock. You know what? When he raps, he has two personas. Sometimes he's Glock, sometimes he's G-Lock. We got like a little bit of a Queen Bee type situation. Matty B, last question here. You brought up a phrase earlier. I am a human minimalist. So I want you to think about that. Use that filter when I ask you this question. Will his next crypto project succeed or fail?
Sam Bankman-Fried?
Yes.
He won't have one because he's going to be Clinton and Epstein. But when he gets out, it'll probably be closer to when he's supposedly going to be let out. Something will happen, and he'll never get to do it again. And then they'll just put it to bed, and everyone will forget about it. All the money he laundered to the psychopathic elected elites, that'll just be forgotten. He'll be forgotten. Everyone will get on with their life, and maybe it's kind of like in World War II. Everyone wanted all these criminals to go, all these war criminals to be punished, right? But the majority of the population was just like, you know what? Let's just get the F on with our life. Let's just get on with it. That's what's going to happen with SBF. Unfortunately, he's not going to be around.
All right. Well, bold prediction right there. If I had one counter to that, Matty B, it is his mother is connected with those people. So she might be able to plead, you got to look out for my son. What if it was your son? Because she travels in very high level circles.
They don't care. She's not high enough, right? She's not high enough. She's not higher than the presidency, right? She's just another pawn. They don't know what level of pawn they're at, but they're all pawns, right? So she's not important either. And unfortunately, something might happen to them too. Whoa, this piano is filled with conspiracies. I gotta shut it off.
Hey, you know what? I forgot my aluminum foil, but I'm almost gonna run to the kitchen, just grab some. But we are running out of time, folks. We just hit a half hour. Folks, this has been one of the best episodes in recent memory. So please go ahead, hit that like button. In fact, if you want to go ahead and share this to a friend who's maybe hasn't been asked those questions, but you want to ask them those questions, put them down this rabbit hole. Maybe they'll have something to enjoy down the line there. But you know what, Drew, Matt, you did so great, both of you. I want to give you both some parting thoughts here. So, Drew, we'll start with you. Then Matty B, we'll close it with you after that.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that SBF has shed a bright but brief light. So I'm hoping that one day we'll be able to close our books on that story. It seems to be that we're not going to as of yet, but I think that it will fade off into the abyss very soon. Justice may be served, justice may not be served, but one thing that we do know is that he is eating canned tuna.
That ramen and honey buns. Matty B, go ahead.
Well, at the end of the day, all these, with the tribalism, all the division, you have to remember it is us against them, and them being the psychopathic elected elites. It's not us against XRP or ADA against XRP. It's nothing like that, or even SBF. We're actually all in this together against them. And the only solution to get them out is through Bitcoin.
All right. And a DC with the unrelated acronym for a vacuum cleaner, a toy game, actually, Sucking Balls Frantically. That is a very good acronym right there. And it's for like a little basketball game, so you can get the balls more easily and you're just ready to shoot just that much faster. You don't have to wait for it to roll down. But folks, that is all we have. That's what that meant. That's what that meant.
What about KOTM's one? KOTM has a pretty one. I can't read it though from here. What does it say, DZ?
I have this move the poll. Owen, can you read KOTMs? I have a poll in my way. Will ETH see a new all-time high?
I think he was talking about collecting tennis balls on the tennis court that they were hitting too earlier. That's what he was talking about.
That's what we're talking about, folks.
Yeah,
well, folks,
makes
if you want to be part of this discussion, make sure you check out the live chat as well. Turn on notifications if you want to jump in live. Hit that like button. Make sure you're following. And the two guests below us, we're going to have the links down below in the description. They're both putting out fantastic content, as you can see here. Go ahead and hit that like button, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.